What's up guys, Saif Ashraf here. Today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions on the M1 MacBook Air in the point of view of a MacBook Pro user. So I also have the M1 MacBook Pro. I've been using that for about 8 months, 7 months or something. And I got this quite recently and I wanted to see how this has held up because there is quite a significant price difference. Let's get straight into the video. So, the M1 MacBook Air I bought in the silver color at the base configuration with 256GB of SSD storage, 8GB of RAM, an 8-core CPU and a 7-core GPU. So let's get into the performance first, as the M1 chip is basically what's carrying this whole laptop as an altogether PC. So, the M1 chip, as we all know, and you probably all have heard from countless other videos, is an amazing processor. I've got the 8-core CPU and 7-core GPU as I said before, and they handle everyday tasks completely fine. Simple tasks such as going on Chrome, Safari, going into some intensive tasks such as editing on Final Cut Pro, or like photo editing on Photoshop, is also quite easy. You might see a bit of stuttering in Final Cut Pro, like maybe very little bit because of the 7-core GPU instead of the 8-core I use on the MacBook Pro. But for the price, you really can't complain, especially with integrated graphics and not an external GPU. The 8GB of RAM also holds up well, as macOS definitely knows how to use the RAM efficiently, and the 256GB SSD, it's not a lot of storage, to be honest. You will quickly fill this little SSD up. Unless you have plans to buy external storage, I would maybe look up to the 512GB or 1TB SSD option, as in my daily use I use Final Cut Pro, I use Xcode to learn a bit of coding, and a load of other apps such as the Microsoft Suite, which do eat up quite a lot of storage. Also, saving photos, documents does eat up quite a lot too. So yeah, if you do have a bit of spare money, maybe look forward to the extra amount of storage. So the design is quite familiar from what we've seen before. This is actually the exact same design as we saw from the 2020 Intel MacBook Airs, without the fan. So this is a completely fanless computer, which means it's silent, doing anything. Like anything on this computer will result just in a silent computer, which is it's weird because the desktop I use behind me, i5 processor, 8GB of RAM, and the fan is always on even when idle, whereas this M1 machine can edit in Final Cut Pro without a fan, which is a wow factor. I honestly couldn't get my head around it at first because the M1 MacBook Pro fans do turn on sometimes when rendering footage in Final Cut Pro. When rendering footage on the M1 MacBook Air, you can't hear anything. It's mind-boggling. The keyboard and trackpad feel as tactile as ever. The trackpad I think is slightly smaller than the M1 MacBook Pro's trackpad, but the trackpad is Apple's amazing tactile feeling trackpad. You won't get wrong with that. The keyboard also, we have the scissor key switches, which again feel amazing to type on and everything. And the overall finish is really nice. It weighs less than the MacBook Pro. It's slightly thinner as it has a wedge design on the M1 MacBook Air. The display, also from the time that I've been using it, is quite sharp, quite vibrant. The speakers on this machine are also great while watching content. It does get quite loud as well. Maybe at the most loudest volumes you will hear a bit of off notes and stuff like that, but it's not as big of a deal as it seems. Also, the microphone array, top notch, and wait, this top notch. I did buy this for my younger brother. He's going to use this for like maybe a couple of iMovie edits, a lot of Word documents for his homework, web browsing, and a couple of games. So yeah, if you guys do want to see a full review from my younger brother, make sure to like and leave it in the comments. But that's been it for me. This M1 MacBook Air is quite an amazing machine, especially for what you're paying for. It is a MacBook, so you are going to be paying for that premium price, but this will comfortably last you like 5 to 6 years easily. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.